this week, United Airlines was ordered to pause their plan to give unvaccinated employees unpaid leave if they requested an exemption. NPR reports a Texas federal judge ordered the delay, and the airline said in August that all those requiring a medical or religious exemption would be placed on unpaid leave. 6 employees filed a lawsuit saying this was, quote, adverse employment action. The case is set to be heard at a later date, and the restraining order expires October 26th. And Kyrie Irving will not be playing until he is vaccinated. According to NBC, the Nets have benched Irving until he is vaccinated. On Instagram, Irving said, quote, I am doing what's best for me. I know the consequences here, and if it means that I'm judged and demonized for that, that's just what it is. The Nets have said that players will not be paid for missed games. And first responders are still fighting a wildfire tearing through Southern California this week. The fire covered more than 24 square miles, according to the AP, in West Santa Barbara. 1,300 firefighters are battling the flames. More are on the way, and the fire is only 5% contained as of yesterday. And we're learning more about the Gabby Petito homicide. The Grand Teton County coroner said Petito's death was strangulation, and according to Fox News, a former prosecutor said they will likely result in a first-degree murder charge for whoever killed her. Brian Laundrie, her fiance, is wanted in connection with her death after traveling across country with her this summer and showing up back in Florida without her. He has not been seen since the 13th of last month. And new offshore wind farms are expected to be developed in the Gulf of Mexico to help generate enough electricity to power more than 10 million homes by 2030. The AP reports in a statement Wednesday from the Biden administration, 7 of these wind farms would produce 30 gigawatts offshore and could avoid 78 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions. Those who oppose the operation say it can impact local wildlife and is not always the most reliable energy source.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, the wind farms.
It is.
Yeah.
They're ugly.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And you go to Palm Springs and you leave Palm Springs in the canyon and you're on your way to L.A. and you see 9 million of them.
Yeah. We see them out in Abilene, too.
I had a really smart person, a very creative person say they should paint them a different color. They shouldn't be white. Paint them into the backdrop. Brown, green, something.
Or paint them like very cool, like graffiti, and make it
I don't
an
know
art
about
project
graffiti.
of some
We got
sort.
enough graffiti. We've got enough graffiti. But, to make them a little bit go away. They are eyesores.
Yeah, well, the issue to me also is especially that it's unreliable. And it's great that we're pushing to greener, operations, greener sources,
What do you mean when you say it's unreliable?
Unreliable because they're not always operating at the same...
But they're an additive to our grid system.
An additive, but you can't just have that. You can't say, okay, oil and coal are going away now.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. But I think in the present economy, they're a good additive.
Sure.
And, in Palm Springs, again, which I have family, there's grids even for housing where everybody goes into the same grid. They save a ton of money. It really works pretty good if it's organized.
If it's organized. And I think that a push for greener energy, I think is great. But if you don't have a plan in place when things don't go as expected, I mean, you're going to have the whole issue like we had here in Texas.
Right.
You're going to have the issue that, California has all the time because they're trying to do solar energy, and solar energy cannot be saved and harnessed. So my sister was living in California and, they were getting alerts, okay, turn off all of your appliances for 3 hours or turn off your lights for the next 4 hours. And I mean, it's just, so you have to have a backup. So, but I think, I don't see a problem with it.
Well, last thing for me, just getting back to one of your headlines, the Kyrie Irving thing again. The unfortunate thing about this, and I'm a basketball guy. I mean, I was in the league for 4 years. If he played anywhere else except where he plays, he'd be fine.
It wouldn't be an issue.
That's the inconsistency in all of this. If the NBA really wanted to try to centralize this a little bit, they would have fought the fact that New York and California have taken this, what I consider to be ridiculous position. That's a ridiculous position. The guys out there on the court, they get tested every day.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Now it's put the Nets, who are again now, they're not just some average team. They are favored in everybody's polls to win the NBA championship this year. It forces them in a position now where if I'm the head guy, which I was at one point, I've got to be looking at reasonable offers to trade him.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go the season without him and not getting compensation back.
Right.
So that's where now your whole discussion about mandates in New York and this and that, it's just not consistent.
Yeah. Well, and it's unfortunate because it's, like you said, if you played anywhere else, this wouldn't be an issue, or if you played in other places. Do you think they're feeling political pressure to make those decisions, or do you think that's a decision they want to make? The league or
the league or the Nets?
The Nets.
The Nets have to live by what the city ordinances are telling them.
Yeah.
And, they're kind of a byproduct of having to deal with, Billy D. de Blasio, the worst mayor in the history of mayors. Not even a question. Mayors anywhere around the world, he's the worst. My opinion. I pick on him all the time, but he is an open book in terms of being able to pick on him. I mean, he's done, so this whole thing about, in order to play in that building, you have to be vaccinated. It's just not consistent.
I agree.